to the Indie MBA. So my name is Chris McCormick, and we're going to be, so the four illustrious speakers with me are going to be taking us through the nitty-gritty, the nuts and bolts of the business side of running an indie games shop. So yeah, we'll be covering negotiating contracts with artists and programmers, outsourcing, finding funding opportunities, some of the legal considerations, and Mahomed will be giving us a case study of Gridwerx, independent company he started. Is that right? Oh, Peter started. Sorry, my sound just died. Anyway, yeah, so I'll just introduce our speakers today. We've got Mahomed over here, who, sorry, I've lost my... yeah, so Mahomed, right now you work for Aberrant Entertainment, is that right? Yeah, that's your own startup.
Yes, mine is.
And you used to work for Gridwerx, which was another startup. And you've had quite a lot of experience with indies, basically.
Yeah.
And you'll be bringing some of that to the foreground and taking us through some of that.
Hopefully.
And Paul here, Paul Motion, has a bunch of experience as a localisation producer, specifically working with Asian localisation. Is that right, Paul?
Yeah.
And right now he's working at Atari, but he's done some time at EOS Interactive and SDL International. So he'll be taking us through, I believe, looking at his slides here, is called How to Make a Video Game. So that should be useful. Nick Blackmore is a senior associate in intellectual property and technology at Corrs Chambers Westgarth. So is that the right pronunciation? All right, and he's advised a huge number of different media companies, tech development customers, communications vendors, etc. So he'll be bringing some of the legal aspects of things we might be interested in as indie game developers to light. He's also an obsessive football manager player and has found every hidden item in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. And last but not least, we come to Amelia King. She works at Film Victoria and has done so since 1998, so she's got a lot of experience with some of the programs that Film Victoria have run. Business seminars, attachment scheme. I'm not sure what attachment scheme is, but you can enlighten us about that.
Certainly, sure.
Digital, yeah, she was a digital media fund manager in 1999, and has overseen the prototype development and production investment programs. So she's got a whole lot of experience as well in that area. So we may as well get underway. Does anyone want to go first particularly, or why don't you start with since you've got a presentation?
Yep. No.
Okay.
Hello. Excellent. Sorry, I like to walk around. I'm not good at talking behind a desk. So, as Chris very eloquently said, I am a localisation producer. I work for Atari, and I work for IDOS Interactive and SDL International, which is like a big localisation company. And I deal with I used to deal with Games for Europe, and I currently work for games in Asia, which is basically Korea, Japan, Taiwan, Vietnam, Thailand, etc. I have a fair amount of experience in project management, so what I'll probably go through today is basically a lot of outsourcing. I used to do a lot of art asset creation management, tracks and model making, asset creation, all that sort of stuff, with third-party vendors, so other small art studios that do basically just art creation for publishers and development studios. And I'll also talk about production and project management within games, and how to sort of look after your team. So, starting off, how to make a video game, or how not to kill yourself in the whole process. There are a lot of things involved in making a video game, and it's not just a question of coming up with an idea. I think you really need to, at first, definitely decide what you want to make. I think Mahomed will testify that Gridwerx had a fantastic idea for a game called Genesis a couple of years ago. And it looked really interesting, kind of a Deus Exy sort of thing. I'm sure you won't mind me saying that. And the scope was just huge. It was massive. I mean, has anyone played Deus Ex at all? Does anyone know what Deus Ex is? I do hope so, because it's a classic game. So if you imagine the size of that game, and you imagine an indie developer like someone like Gridwerx, who was at the time, what, 5 to 10 people, something like that. 30, really? Oh, well, there you go. So I'll go and hide in the corner. So even for a team of 30 people, if you're independent, getting funding for a team of 30 people is not easy. But it was a very, very ambitious scope for a project. So really you need to sort of think about what you want to do and think about the size of the project that you want to do. You then need to decide what's going to go into it. This is sort of, I suppose, the pre-production stage of development. I'll apologise if I start talking about sort of the technical stages of game development. If anyone doesn't know what I'm talking about, then feel free to bring it up at the question and answer sort of stage. Which is where you decide about all the features, your art direction, all that kind of stuff. When you decide what kind of game you're making, you really need to think about, is it going to be a flash game? Is it going to be something where the distribution of the final product is going to be online, or do I really want to deal with the big bad publisher? Which direction do I want to go with this? And it will really influence, obviously, the rest of the direction of the game. I'll come back to how to get your game out there later on in the presentation. You will also, as a producer, you will also need to decide how many resources you need, the team, the size of the team, and how to allocate those resources. I mean, this stuff all sounds really, really boring. I know you kind of, budding designers and engineers and programmers and artists. Seriously, guys, I can't stress enough how important a plan is at the beginning of a project. If you sit there and you go, oh yeah, hey man, we've got this great idea for a game, it's a first-person shooter, it's really, really great. And then you sort of go, yeah, we'll just do it, and I've got a couple of mates, and we'll all get together, and there's sort of 10, 15 of us, and yeah, it'd be really good. I'll tell you what, after a year of working 20-hour days and not getting any sleep and still having just a couple of levels because no one can decide on what they want to do, you're going to kill yourself. Take it from me. And then you have to start working out things like budgets and schedules, and then you have to actually start working on your game. If anyone is thinking about doing schedules and is interested in going into production, please throw away your dodgy copies of Microsoft Project right now. It's the worst scheduling program on the planet. Do not get sucked into it. So, still talking about scheduling, methodology. Does anyone know what methodology means as far as game development goes? No? You do?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Does anyone know about things like Scrum project management, Agile project management, waterfall systems, stuff like that?